live book cover design. Today we're going epic fantasy. We've got a girl with wings. We've got an epic background, mountains, sunrise, sunset, all the fun, fabulous things. We are using Photoshop CC, a Wacom Intuos Pro editing tablet, and of course I will be using my blue light blocking glasses to protect my eyes as we are working today. And I'm super excited to jump in and get to today's creation. So let me go ahead and get this on screen, and then I'm just going to pull up my video. Hey, Danielle, thanks for joining. I appreciate you all being here. There it is. I got it. I had to find my screen. It has been a thing today. And we've, of course, got our template up here. We're ready to go. And I'm just going to adjust that because I was definitely moving things earlier. But I got it. We're good. We're good. We're going to jump in. And we are, first off, we are going to grab our model for today. I found a model that already had wings. I didn't have to put the wings on for the first time ever, so I'm running with it today, making life easy. And I've got my quick selection tool, and I am just lassoing my model. As we can see, it didn't do a great job, so I am just going to hold my option button down with my lasso, and I'm just going to draw right around her. It does not have to be perfect. We'll come in and fix that later. I definitely missed part of that background there. And that's totally okay. We're just going to go ahead and we are just going to remove the things that we need to remove. And we're just going to draw around the sword a little bit at a time. I found, oh, I didn't like that. I found when you're doing like long things, you either have to use the other tool, or you should do it in just small sections at a time, because it's going to work out a lot better for you. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of work I'm going to have to do around the feathers in this wing. And so I am just going to do a little bit of that now, and then I'm going to play with that more later so that we can get some of those shattered feathers there. If you're joining me live, let me know who, or I guess where you are joining me from, as I am just cutting out part of the background. It's unfortunate that it was such a dark image on such a dark background, but that just means I have to do a little extra work, and that's okay. There we go. Okay, close enough. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my layer mask on this, and then I'm going to move her over just a little bit because I know it cut that out, and we don't like that. So I am going to go ahead and I am going to zoom in on this one. First things first, we are going to refine some of these lines because clearly we missed some of that. So I'm going to grab my brush, and I'm going to switch it over from a soft brown brush to a hard round brush because I want that nice clean line. And then on the layer mask with the brush set to black, I am coming in and I am just removing any of the shadows, any of the halos that didn't quite make it out of this image. And I am just refining my lines. This is going to take me a hot second as I am just refining this enough to be able to keep working. We are going to put a dress on her in a minute. We're going to get to that point in just a minute. But for now, we're just kind of refining where those feather lines are. You can see it definitely has some things that didn't get cut out very well. So we're going to go ahead and we are just going to remove a whole bunch of this. Anything that has the background on it, we're just going to remove that. And I actually might make this easy on myself by grabbing my lasso tool and just kind of cutting around the feathers instead of actually drawing them out. I am just lassoing a section to remove, and then because I have that restriction there, I can just get rid of the things I don't need. And because they're feathers, guys, they're pointy little feathers, I don't have to deal with it being super precise because it could be anywhere. It doesn't have to be in just that one particular section. So I am just removing anything I don't like, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to refine with that brush. So I can add things back in where I think that I want them. And then we can see it actually has that nice kind of straight line. This is like a very plasticky wing. That's interesting. That's an interesting way of doing things. This is definitely added in post, I'll tell you that much. So I am just right now kind of removing little bits of it around her earring. But you can see around her earrings like where the issue was with this. So we're just kind of filling this in just a little bit. And we know she's got that blonde hair there, but it wasn't like super super straight like that. So we are just kind of filling in around here. We know we've got that little bit of a halo look, which is absolutely okay around her hair because light hair will have that halo effect to it. So I'm not overly worried about that. If you're just jumping in, go ahead and let me know where you're joining me from. Today we're doing an epic fantasy cover, and we've got our girl with wings. And so I'm just refining parts of these wings. We're going to refine around her hip in just a minute and her legs. But for the most part, I am good more or less with the feathers, and we'll just adjust once we get our background up, which, by the way, will be a really pretty, like, sunrisey sunset. I think it's more of a sunrise than a sunset, judging by the colors. But I am just going to be adding that in momentarily. Right now, I'm just kind of coming in and getting rid of the halo effect around her legs, where we cut that out. I'm going to have to adjust my sword for sure. There we go. So what I'm doing here is I'm just tapping on the edge that I need to refine, holding my shift button down and then moving my mouse down so that it gets that nice straight line there for the sword. And I'm pretty good with the rest of that. Not super worried about her feet because I'm actually going to be hiding her toes probably more or less because I'm going to be putting her up on a cliff. There's going to be a little bit of a rock before that. All right, let me jump in. Joining from Michigan. Oh, hey, Penelope. Hey, girl. I'm excited that you're here. Sophie, have you ever cried over your own books because of how mean you are? Yes, Sophie, I have. I usually know when I am going to end one of my characters, and so I prepare myself in advance. And I cry. I'm sad, but I know it's coming because I knew in advance that it was coming. I did have one character I didn't know was going to die until the chapter before. It was like pages before, and I just sobbed and sobbed. It was rough. That was a rough one for me. All right, I am just about done cutting out my model, and then we are going to be zooming back out so y'all can see. Oh, it didn't like me. Hang on. There we go. There we go. We've got my model. Let's get our background in here. All right, next step, we are going to be putting a background in here. I do want to make sure that we're doing kind of like a mountainy look. I almost think I'm going to reverse this. So I'm actually, because I'm looking at the top and the bottom, this picture doesn't quite extend all the way. So I am just doing Command T for transform. And then I am just going to fill the rest of that. I know she's floating. We'll get her on a rock in a minute. But I think I'm going to go to edit, down to transform, over to flip horizontal. And yeah, I think I like that better. What do you guys think? I think I like that background better. Let me know. Let me know. Michigan is your favorite. That is true. That is true. If you are enjoying today's live stream, the 9 minutes we've been on air, go ahead and make sure you're inviting your friends to all the fun as well. I am going to go ahead and I am going to add in another image because I want to get that rock down there. So first things first, I'm going to grab my selection tool and I am just going to select the rock. Not bad. It does its own judgment on this one, and then I just go in and fix it. So I am just going to add in, just by holding down my shift button with my lasso tool, I am just going to bounce over where that rock would be, and then we're going to remove his leg in a minute. So I put a layer mask over that, and you can kind of see how that fits in there. So the next step that I want to do, I'm going to transform this into a smart object. So I just right-clicked it, convert to smart object. And now I'm just going to grab my spot heal tool, and I am just going to make that nice and big, and I am just going to kind of erase his leg. And I'm going to do it in sections because you can see it pulled some weird stuff going up here. So we're going to have to do a little bit, probably with our clone tool, actually. But right now I'm just, oh, no, that's actually not terrible. I will clean it up a little bit with my clone tool. But right now I'm just kind of adding in some rock just with my spot heal tool, and I'm just going to remove his shoe here. Some of that's going to look like it's shadow, so it's not terrible. But you can see how that cleaned that up pretty nicely. So I'm just going to come in with my clone tool now. I'm still on 100% opacity. And I'm just grabbing different sections and just kind of cleaning up anywhere that looks a little bit weird to my eye. There we go. So now you can see we've got this really cool like dip in there. And I am going to actually drag this layer down below my model. And now I've got my model standing on the rock here, which is kind of nice. And I can adjust where she is. And I might actually, ooh, sorry, it had my auto select on. That's a problem. I might actually put her foot down in that hole. So I'm just going to adjust where I want her to be. relative to the rest of this cover. And then I am going to duplicate my layer because I want to leave my original layer alone. I'm going to turn that off. And then I am going to convert the second layer to a smart object. I'm going to put a new layer mask on it. And then I'm going to zoom in very closely so I can see her little toes there. And I am going to paint that off where that rock is in front of her. So it's going to look like she's standing forward with that 1 foot, which clearly is forward anyway. So I am then just going to come in and remove her toe. I'm going to use it kind of bigger right there. And then I'm going to make my brush very small. And I'm just going to kind of make it look like the rock there is kind of not even. There we go. There we go. Nice. I'm seeing a little bit of black. Oh, nope, that's the rock. We're good. We're good. So now we've got her kind of standing behind it. I will need to darken up that foot a lot. That might be something I do right now so that we don't have to deal with that later on. So I just added a new layer. I'm using a clipping mask to attach it just to that layer so it only affects that layer. And then I'm going to go and grab my gradient tool. I'm going to make sure my gradient tool is color over transparent. And then I'm going to grab the, I was going to grab radial, but actually I'm going to keep it linear. And I am just going to hold my shift button down. And I am just going to paint over that one particular foot here. And you can see it's both feet. We're going to have to remove that in just a second. I'm going to lighten this just a little bit with the opacity, but I really do want it kind of dark there. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do because I don't like the way that it's working. What I'm going to do is I am just going to lower the opacity. It's like 66% opacity right now. I'm going to grab my eraser tool. There it is. And I'm going to paint it off of the sword. Don't want it on the sword. Don't want it on the leg on the right that's in front. And then I am just going to add a new layer. Same deal. Create a clipping mask. And then I'm going to, I really am this time going to change it to that radial tool. And I'm just going to then paint it over that leg and lower that opacity again. So there we go. We've got that a little bit more. There we go. Beautiful. Let me back off so you can see that. Okay, now we blended it in. Yay us, we got this. We're excited for this. Let me check in with you guys. We're going to need a title for this in a minute, so like start thinking. Cool, you're writing and watching. Awesome. Brianna, hey girl, thanks for joining. Loving on the cover. Did you just figure out all of this? Wait, did you just figure all of this stuff out yourself, Cam? I'm a professional photographer and videographer. I am highly, highly trained in doing this. I've been doing this for a decade. And I actually educate in the photography world on how to do composite imagery. So I'm the girl who teaches everybody in real life. So here we go. We've got our model. I'm going to go ahead and save this so that nothing happens. Y'all know I'm terrible about saving when I am also explaining. And so we've got her here. Now we're going to deal with some of the rest of the stuff. I think the next step we're going to do is actually build out her dress. And we're going to have to give some shadows to this as well. So I actually, real quick before I do it, the dress part, because we're going to have to build the own shadows for that. Other shadows for that. Grammar. I'm going to put a layer underneath my girl, under her foot. And then I'm just going to kind of not do that. Okay, apparently I'm going to do that. We're going to give her a little bit of a shadow here. And I hate that on every level. Hang on. We're gonna reverse. Let's try it again. That didn't work for me. Sometimes you just have to play with shadows, y'all. I am going to, instead of using my gradient tool, I am going to actually grab my brush. I'm going to switch it over to my soft brush, 100% opacity, and on a black setting, I'm just going to tap around her foot. Yes, I am. That's how we're doing this. And I am just going to, there we go, add that in under her foot. And then I am going to make my brush a little bit bigger. And just tap that in there so it kind of looks like her shadow. Nope. It has to be smaller. That's the problem. So I'm just going to add one more layer. I'm going to make my brush smaller. I'm going to stop playing games around here. And I am just going to tap that in. There we go. A little bit better. Let me get the sword here as well. No, that was too spot-like. Bring it back. Bring it back. To go backward, you're just hitting Command-Z, by the way. Just for those of you who are photoshopping and doing things. There we go. And then we're just going to lower that. Now we got a shadow. Now we are talking. Speaking of which, we also have to add in some shadows for those wings. Those would fall right about there and there. So we're very aware of where the sun is coming in. And now we've got our shadows. I am once again going to save. Okay, sending me numbers. I got you, girl. We've got our model, we've got our wings, we've got our sword, we've got our background. We need to build out her dress because we're not going to let her sit like that. So I've got some fabric. We're going to actually change the color of this fabric. We're going to add in some flowy things. So let's see. So first up, we've got this pretty piece of blue fabric, and I'm just going to, because I actually don't remember where I was going to put these, so I'm going to real fast just turn on all my colors. There we go, because I have 4 pieces of fabric. I was envisioning 2 in the front and 2 in the back. And of course, we have to change the colors to match your dress. We're going to do that in a second. But I just kind of want to see what I am working with. So hang tight as I definitely put this somewhere. Definitely put these things somewhere. This, I think, I don't remember where I was going with this. I know the blue is in the front. Let's go with blue because I know I was going over here with the blue. Oh, because I don't have that turned on. Sometimes you turn off the auto select on your settings and it becomes a problem. But then sometimes you need it and you don't need it. Okay, so right now I'm just adjusting this. We are not leaving this quite the way it is. So I'm going to put a layer mask on it. I am coming in on a hard round brush, so we have that nice clean line. We're going to zoom in to 200%. And we are going to just move this right on over here. And I'm going to move it down. And we're just going, oops, I had my opacity lowered on that one. Let me raise that back up. There we go. We are just going to be taking it away where we don't need it. Like I said, we are going to be changing the color of this, so don't worry about that. It is going to be changed. I am just removing any part of the fabric that I don't need that's clearly behind the front part of the fabric. So I only want from that little poof forward, nothing behind it. So we're just getting rid of this particular part. And then because the sword is here, we're just going to get rid of that part too. And I'm just going to come in and refine that line just a little bit. It is definitely up over part of the sword. So I am just going to adjust. There we go. There we go. I am seeing a little bit of haloing, which we do not necessarily want. So I'm going to go ahead and I am just going to refine that edge while we're over here. I'm just going to check and see if there's anything else I need to refine while I'm working on this particular piece of fabric. And we're just going to make sure that there's, whoops, that was a little too far. We're just going to make sure there's no pixelation. So we are just refining that edge just a little bit as we are doing this. Anywhere I'm seeing pixelation, I'm just coming in and fixing that up just a little. And the cool thing about layer masks is that it's non-destructive. So if I mess up, I can fix it. It's a great thing. So again, I'm just removing any haloing that I don't necessarily like. I keep finding like these little pieces of haloing that I'm just going to refine. The cool thing about fabric is that fabric is anything you want it to be. It can be in any particular format. So you can shear it off, you can add to it, you can do all the cool, fabulous things. This looks very difficult. It is, well, it is if you're new. I'm highly trained, so this is not hard at all. I can do a full cover in an hour. It takes it takes cover designers weeks to do this kind of a thing in most cases, but they aren't trained the way that I am. So we just do a lot faster over here. So you can Guys, can you hear and see me? Please let me know. I heard that it was frozen for some people. So I refreshed. Yes, I am seeing comments come through. Go ahead and let me know if you can see these. I'm going to reattach my live screen. Yes. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add this here. And there we go. As we continue, let me know if you can hear and see me, friends. Let me know. I can hear and see you now. Okay. I don't know why we froze, but I'm glad we're back. If that happens again, please say something as soon as you see it so I know to refresh for you guys so that you can see it. We're just kind of adjusting where this is going. And I've got the green fabric behind her. I'm just kind of removing some of the fabric beneath where I need it to be. And I think I like that there. Before I do anything else, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to adjust the rest of these. So I think the red is for sure going to go behind her. So I'm going to drag that layer down beneath my model. And I am just going to adjust the placement on this. And I might actually... Oh, I like that. That's pretty nice. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put the layer mask on this, and I am just going to remove it from her left, or what is our left side of her. And I'm going to go ahead and I am going to adjust my coloring on this one. So I'm going to add that black and white layer and attach it to that particular layer with the layer mask. No, with the clipping layer, sorry. I am going to grab my brightness and contrast panel. I am going to attach it to it, bump up my contrast, bump down my brightness. And that's actually pretty good. You can get some pretty good detail in there. We will have to make the wings pop a little bit better. So we might actually do some color adjusting on the wings. What color do you think I should make the wings? I can't obviously be like super bright, but we can tint them a little bit. So then I am going to grab my pink fabric and I'm going to move that over in front of my gal here. I am going to use Edit, Transform, Flip horizontally so that I am moving this around just a little bit. And then I'm going to rotate. And, oh, that's nice. That sits pretty nicely, actually. That does sit pretty nicely. So I will leave that there. That is pretty good. Where we are at, I am going to go ahead and I am going to add a layer mask to it. I'm going to zoom in so that we can get rid of the pieces of that we do not need. And I am just going to use my black hard round brush right there. And then I am just going to remove it where the sword is. So I can. No, I'm actually going to add it back in. That is not where I meant to remove that from. So let me go ahead and I'm just going to paint around the sword. So that comes in the way that it needs to. I'm just going to fill in that fabric there. And there's just one little bump I need to fix there. So don't mind me leaning very close to my camera. As you can all see very closely right now. And then I am just going to paint in where I want it over here. And I'm just going to continue painting here, and then I'll move some of this off momentarily. That'll blend in fairly nicely here. And we're just, again, going around the hilt of that sword. And I'm just going to see how far over this goes. Huh. Yeah, that works. That's okay. That'll blend. So then I just have a little bit of the gold that I need to remove here. And then we're good to go. Let me real quick, I'm just looking for any halo or pixelation that I need to clean up. But we're actually pretty good. There we go. Let's see. Checking in on you guys. You can hear and see me. Fantastic. You like that it looks cool. Feels like it needs to stay warm, so like a gold or a red. But you don't know anything. You're so funny, Penelope. I love opinions. I love opinions, and we'll talk through things and see what works and what doesn't work. I was thinking of warming it up too, so you're not too far off there. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add that black and white panel to it, use my clipping mask. I'm going to grab my brightness and contrast, clip that right onto it, bump up the contrast. What did I do here? That was fun. That was a fun thing. I'm going to duplicate that, and then I'm going to back that up. There we go. There we go. Beautiful. We blended. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab that green and we are going to adjust that as well. So one more time, we are going into black and white panel. Say it with me. We are going to use that clipping mask. We're going to go into our brightness and contrast panel, clipping mask, bump it up, drag it down. And that's actually not too far off. I can live with this. I can live with this, friends. What do you think? What do we think? Do we like it? So far, so good. So far, so good. Now, the other thing is we can actually tint her skirt, too. It does not have to stay black. Y'all want to do a different color? We can do a different color. Dark golden wings would look cool. Yeah. All right, let me go ahead. I'm going to save this to make sure nothing happens because, you know, I'm terrible at saving it. And today I'm being very thoughtful of this. So we're just going to be mindful of this and how this is working and all the fun, fabulous things. I am going to go ahead. I'm going to grab all of my skirt pieces and I'm going to put them into 2 different folders because one part of it is in front of her and one part is in back of her. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to label these. And I am going to grab that all the way up to here. Let me just double check. Good, beautiful, wonderful. This is front skirts. All right, so we've got our colors on here, and I'm just going to back this up so we can see everything. And then we decide if we want to change colors. Do we want to kind of tint this yellow? There's some ways to do that. Let me go ahead and I'm going to grab a curves panel and I'm just going to clip it to the front of my skirt to see how it works. This sometimes works. This sometimes does not go so well. So let's find out what we're going to do with this one. I've just moved from RGB over to blue and I am just going to drag it. You can see how that just turned blue. Woo! Woo! Girl's got a blue dress. I can also sway it to the other side where we get more of those golden tones. But it doesn't quite match up with her dress. So this might not be the choice for us. This might not be where we want to go with this one. Or potentially it could be. I can actually go into, let's say, my red channel, and we can mess with this as well. We've just turned this very green, and we've just turned this more of a bronzy color, which is working for me. Oh, I like that. Okay, I like that. What you guys think? Should we go with the bronzy skirt that kind of matches the bronzy top? Let me know. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Same with writing, save often. Pro tip with writing there, Sophie, if you're saving your stuff often as you should be, you should also be saving it in multiple locations because your hard drive can crash, Google can go down. There's all sorts of fun things where you lose good chunks of your manuscript. So if you're saving a book, you need to be saving it in at least 3 locations because bad things happen and you don't want to lose that much of a manuscript, trust me. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to actually duplicate this. And I'm going to drag this curves panel down to the folder with the back of the skirt. And then I am going to, whoa! You guys, do we like that coloring? Because I think I like that coloring. Holy wow. This. Let me duplicate that because I love that. And then I'm going to just clip the one directly to the skirt. Woo! Yes. All right. We're going to go ahead and we are going to then grab part of her wings. Because it's attached to her, I actually have to do this as a separate layer. I'm just going to kind of create a section for that here. And I am going to come into my curves panel. And I am going to use a clipping mask. I'm going to go from RGB over to blue. And I actually want to tint these babies just a little bit on the blue side. So you can see where it's definitely a difference between the black and the blue. And I'm just going to paint this in on a soft round brush, 100% opacity, just to see how that blue tint kind of looks with what we're doing. If it makes it stand out a little bit more, it might be too blue. We may need to adjust this. We definitely may need to adjust this. We also may need to do some work on this one. I have an idea for where we're going with this. Because right now it looks a little plasticky and we don't like that. That's not what we want. So we either will get rid of this or we are going to do this and bump that up. Yeah, not loving that. Not loving that. But I did add in some contrast, and that definitely looks better. I'm going to paint it off of her skin just a little bit, so I'm going to lower my opacity, and I'm just going to paint it off of her body just a bit because we don't want it to be too much. There we go. All right. Make that just a little bit. Beautiful. We're going to need a title. Can y'all get in my comments and start leaving some title ideas for this fantasy novel? Oh, man. I think the next thing that we probably need to do is work with our light just a little bit, which I wasn't sure we were going to do, but I definitely do want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to pull up my folder while you are dropping title ideas into my comment box as we are here. We're making great time today. Look at us go. I love this. I think I do want to add a little bit of contrast to the skirt while my folder is loading. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to find my folder with the front part of the skirt because I just want to apply this to the front part of the skirt. And I'm just going to bump up my contrast a little bit. Bump up my brightness just a little bit. Nope, it's just that one specific one. I got to go inside of the folder and I got to grab the one. Yes, I picked the right one. Look at me go. I'm going to add in another brightness and contrast panel, flipping mask that right onto it. And then I'm just going to adjust until it is where I want it to be. There, that's better. Much better, much better. Okay, I've got my overlay things ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to, oh, you know what I didn't do? Let me grab, I have one more folder that I actually have something I want to try in. So I'm going to pull that up real fast. There we go. And into the folder that I want. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to come up above all of my layers except for my words. And I am going to come in here and I am going to do some fun overlay type things with my, wow. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so we can see how that definitely affects the way that she is looking right now. I definitely want it to be a little bit over her. And you can see where that harsh line is. So I'm just putting a layer mask over it. And on a soft round brush, 100% opacity. Except it's not 100% opacity. Up. There we go. I'm just removing that harsh line. So that we've got just that little bit of light right there. I love that. That looks fantastic. Title names, friends. Title names. Your characters don't have names. You're so funny. Let me see. I am going to grab... I want to put that in there. I've got some specific things that I love using, and I think it might look cool, but also it might not look cool. So we're going to find out. We are about to see if this is going to work for me. Let's see what we've got. I'm going to grab this kind of like sunrisey type thing, and I'm just going to come right in here. And oh no. I have my auto select on. I am just adjusting where this is going. I just kind of want to make it pop in certain areas. But I think this is too much. I don't particularly love this. Okay. Let me go in. I'm going to try one more thing. I'm going to go into my filter, down to blur, down to Gaussian blur. And I'm just going to bump up my radius on this one. And yeah, I guess that illuminates it a little bit more. And then I'm going to lower my opacity. There, that just makes her pop just a little bit more, which is kind of nice. There we go. That's better. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save this baby because that's what we need to do. I feel like some sort of goddess name would work. I'm not sure. I had to make that work, but like Dark Goddess or something. Okay. Okay, we can do that. Let me go ahead and let me go up to the top. And I am just going to grab this. And I'm just going to transform that so that it's the right angle. No, ma'am. Okay. Let me try that one more time. We're going to transform. We're going to put it at the correct angle. And up we go. Beautiful. Obviously, we're doing some work here. Let's not panic over that weird shadow that does not work in that particular location. Pull that baby back. There we go. We're going to fix this. It's going to look better. But I do kind of like darker tones for this. So we might actually straight up change this. So let me go ahead. Ooh, Desert Warrior, Goddess of War. I like these suggestions. Good, good. Keep those coming. Let's see. Let's see. Let's go Let's go with Desert Warrior. That's kind of cool. And so I'm going to, as always, create these on different layers. Except it's not two S's. I'm like, what? What are we doing? Here we go. And we clearly need to change this font. This is not the font for us. We don't like this. We're going to go ahead and we're going to scroll through. We're going to look for some fantasy fonts. Fantasy fonts tend to be a little more scripty-like. So I'm just going through. They're a little less blocky. Sci-fi tends to be a little more blocky. And fonts are always my least favorite part of doing these live streams because I can't make them look nice and fancy and spend time actually customizing things while we're on a live stream. Speaking of, if you are fans of this cover and you like this cover and you would like to own this cover, you can. You can get it right now for $100 while I'm on air. Otherwise, it goes over to coveraday.com where you will have access to hundreds of pre-made covers or custom covers. And actually, that font is kind of working for me. So for now, we're going to leave that just the way that that is. And then we're going to potentially use a paired font with it. What did we say that that was? Athena, goddess of war, retelling. Ooh. So I'm like, at that point, do we add in the goddess words? Do we not? I don't know. Daughter of Artemis. Oh, let's do that one. That one's cool. We're going to change that. Okay. Daughter. And then we're going to change that location. And we are going to put in Artemis. And then we are going to add in the little of. And here we go. Of. I think I may need to play with. No, that's actually not bad. That's not bad. I'm going to adjust where the fonts have fallen a little bit. There we go. There we go. That's not bad. That is not bad. And actually, I don't have to do too much with it. Y'all, making things easy. I like it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to bring it down. We're going to write author name down on the bottom because that's important to have the author name for this. And then we're going to deal with some light and we're going to deal with some flares and we're going to make things pretty. As soon as I adjust my location according to my grid that I have to pay attention to for this. Beautiful. I like it. Okay. I'm just checking, just adjusting, seeing what we need to do, what we need to accomplish. I do need to add some shadow down toward the bottom. So let me go ahead and let me add in my shadow where that background fabric has fallen. That would be more along the lines of, oh, because I'm at a low opacity. I'm like, why was that so transparency? Just a little bit here and a little bit there. We're going to just use that down. There we go. That works. Very nice. We're liking the idea. The of is so tiny. Yeah, well, because we never, ever have fonts all the same size because then it just kind of blends it in. It's all chunky. So you're going to find smaller words are smaller on titles because it helps to have that visual appeal. So you want to make sure that certain words are going to be smaller or at a different level for it. Especially the kind of like the unimportant words, the and of and things like that, always need to be smaller than the rest of it because you want to focus on the important parts of those words. Okay, next step. We might need a little bit of a layer to this. So let me go ahead and let me just see what I want. I'm thinking of trying some bokeh in front of this. So let's just see how that's going to work for us. I'm going to scroll up to the top of that. And I'm going to grab some maybe orange bokeh, I'm thinking. And we'll just put that right in here. And we're going to paint off where we don't want it or we don't need it. I'm going to lower my opacity a little bit. I'm just adjusting just to see. I don't think I love that. Now, it's possible I'm going to like that smaller. Let me go ahead and make this smaller and see if I like it kind of over here. But I also am thinking, nah, I just don't like it. I love my bokeh, but today I'm not feeling it. Not feeling that at all. Let me go ahead and let me play with some of my light. We are going to do some light touches on this. And I am just looking for the right ones because it's really hard to find them in these tiny folders. All right. And move things where I want to move them. So where do we want things to kind of glow more or less? I may actually... No, that's not bad. That's not bad. Where would the light Ooh, it jumped on me. I don't know what happened there. Where would the light naturally kind of come through if it were flaring off of that sun? So we're just kind of looking to see where it might glow, where it might lay. We could just have things like kind of floating around her as well. Because, you know, daughter of Artemis, we don't know that she's not super glowy. And I'm just going to kind of play with things. I do kind of like some of the light effects here, like touching the wings. But I don't think this is the right one. Let me continue to look through my files and find the pretty things that we can then overlay. Light flare, of course, is going to be very important and very helpful in this particular situation. So we would definitely have that. That's a little bit strong. So we're going to go into filter, down to blur, down to Gaussian blur. And that was too far from the last one. But you can kind of see how it's definitely, there we go, playing in to this just a little bit. And then I might actually lower my opacity just a touch because it is a little on the purpley side. But it definitely adds that flare to it. I think I've got some orangey. There we go, the golden one. We like that. Now we're talking. Let me go ahead and I am going to adjust this just a little bit. We want a little bit of flare here. I feel like TikTok add a little bit of flare. And I am just going to go into my blur, Gaussian blur once again. And then I'm going to adjust that because I don't like where the one piece of that has fallen. Why do we do this to me? Oh my goodness. Maybe this is not quite the way that I want this to be. Okay, new plan. We're going to remove the smart filter from this baby. And then I'm just going to put a layer mask over it. And I'm going to paint off the stuff that I don't like. I don't like it there. I don't like it there. I don't like it there. And I don't like it there. But now we've got our glow and I'm happy. Nice. Okay. Continuing on, we are going to be adding more of our lighting effects to this. And that could work for me. I'm actually going to add, you guys know I like my flare on my titles. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to see how this looks on my Daughter of Artemis title. And then I'm just going to be able to move that around to see, oh, that's nice. And then I'm just going to adjust the placement of this, but I like the glow that it gives it. I'm going to duplicate that. And then I'm going to move it up here. Yeah, that's nice. Oh, that's good. I like that. That is going to work for me. Okay, not bad, not bad. I'm going to go ahead. We actually need a little bit of texture in this one. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to add in my brushes because I did not add in the brushes earlier. So I'm going to add in my fancy brushes. And I am going to, you really love this one? I'm glad you're enjoying it. I am going to do some debris on this one. So we're going to get to there as soon as my color wheel of death is done spinning, which is not yet. We're going to add some debris in front of her because it looks like the wind is going to be moving and whipping around that skirt. It's also going to be picking up the dust elements as well. So as soon as it's going to cooperate for me, there we go. Thank you. We've got my brush panel, and I'm just going to scroll down to my debris brush, which can also be used as a snow brush. I'm so excited about it. I'm going to go into my swatches, and I'm going to go down to the color I like to use for this, like a taupey kind of color. And I am just going to, first on a smaller brush, nope, that's a big brush. First on my smaller brush, I'm going to add in, oh, that's a medium brush. Well, we're just going to run with it, apparently, is what I'm going to do. Going to add in some debris there. I'm actually going to lower my opacity on that layer because I don't want it super harsh. I am then going to do my actual small brush, and I'm going to be adding in some pieces of debris. all over the place because we like that. Beautiful. And then I'm going to make yet another layer, and then big, on a big brush, we're going to add that in. I actually don't like that color for it. So I'm actually going to come in and I am going to do a lighter color for this. There we go. And then just on the big one, we've got that there. Perfect. We love that. And I may even try doing like a darker color against that background a little bit. I don't think this is going to look great, but I just want to kind of see. No, I don't love that. Let me try more of a yellowy color. Just to get some texture up here. Nope, don't like that either. Sometimes you just have to try things and then remove them if you don't like them. It's a thing. We just do it. It's all good. So then the next thing that I need to do, I'm going to back this up just a little bit. We can see the full cover here. We need to do some color toning. We need to do some color separation. So the next step is to actually come down to where my cliff is. And in my background, we need to separate the background from the cliff. So I'm actually going to grab my gradient tool. I'm going to make sure it is on clear over or color over transparent and my radial gradient tool. And I'm just going to start separating the background from the cliff. I don't need it super separated, but you can see how that definitely makes it stand out just a little bit more. And then I'm going to kind of do that along the bottom and the side as well, just on the background there. Oh, I didn't like that one. Then I am also going to go in front of everything but the author name there. And I am going to do my linear gradient tool. And we're just going to kind of pull that bottom part down a little bit, lower the opacity. But that kind of ties it in just a little bit, which is nice. This is nice. This is pretty good. So I'm just kind of looking to see where I might need to like zhuzh things a little bit. I may actually, this could be an interesting twist to it. I might just add in a brand new layer, go into my brush panel, and I'm going to go down to my flare brushes, and I'm just going to add in a little bit of flare to this. So I'm just looking for my brushes because I have hundreds of them here. Give me just a second. There it is. We found it. I got it. We're good. And I'm just going to kind of tap in some flare around her because goddess, come on, we got to do it, right? So just in different places and different locations, we're going to add in just a little bit of that sparkle. Nice. So I like that. Then I'm going to go into layer down to my layer style down to outer glow. I'm going to click on the color. I'm going to make it a nice yellowy, orangey color. Probably. Might change it. We don't know. I am going to bump up my opacity. Bump down my size just a little bit. Mess with my opacity just a little. There we go. There we go. Not bad. Now I do need to continue this over to the back side too. So if we're doing sparkles on one, we're doing sparkles on the other. We need to be consistent. You know the drill. I'm seeing a little... Nope, that's a cloud. I'm like, there's a line there. We don't like lines. No, it's a cloud. I didn't do that. It's a cloud. But I actually may come in and I may judge that just a little bit. So let me come down to that particular layer. And just, yeah, that was definitely part of it. Not loving on that, so I'm just going to go ahead and use my spot remove. And I'm just going to clean up that line. There we go. There we go. There we go. So then we've got that. We can add things to the background as well. I'm not overly worried about this. But you can, you know, add like pieces of fabric. You can put like feathers or wings or whatever back there. You can zhuzh it up however you want. But for now, we're pretty good. We're going to have to go ahead and change the font on the back. So I'm just going to duplicate it is what I'm going to do and make my life easy. Bring this baby right on over. I'm going to write fancy hook line properly. There we go. I'm going to make it smaller so that it can fit in there. I'm going to get rid of that one. Move this one back down. And then I am just going to move my title over to the side of on this. And then I'm going to go into edit, down to transform, down to 90 degrees clockwise. We're going to put that right on the spine. Of course, spines will change with the dimensions of the book from the author who writes this story. And we're going to put that right in there. We're going to remove our author name in the wrong font there. I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate that. And I am going to write author name. I don't worry about spines too much on these things because, again, it will be changing with the author size of the book and all the fun, fabulous things. And then the last thing I'm going to do is actually come up to the top here, and I'm just going to put a brightness and contrast panel. And I'm just going to bump up my contrast and then bump up my brightness and adjust it to where I need it to be. And then we've got this pretty cover. It is an epic fantasy cover. Almost thinking maybe I want to put some magically swirly type things on here, but I'm not worried about it. I'm thinking this is pretty dang good, and we're going to leave it as it is for now. This is your very last chance if you're an author or publisher and you want to purchase this while we are on air. Now's your time. It's only $100. It will be $250 to $300 as soon as it goes over to cover a day once I have a second to put it over there. So now is the time. Let me check out these comments before we go. Cassie, do you create your book covers for your books? Yes, I do. Professional cover designer. I get to create all of mine. There's one I didn't get to create. It was with one of my traditional publishers, and they had to use their in-house person, but I just got my rights back, and we're about to release the brand new and really cool looking cover, so I'm excited for this one. Oh, yes, I do. Thank you for catching that for me. Boom. Fixed. Appreciate that. I wouldn't have noticed. I hustle sometimes. I would have checked that over and then put it on the thing. I'm like, yes, we're good. We're good. But when I'm talking and typing, sometimes I type what I speak. It's a fun thing. All right, guys, I appreciate each and every one of you being here today. Go ahead and let me know in the comments what you would love to see me create next week. Should we do a couple? Should we do paranormal? Should we do a contemporary? Should we do dystopian? Should we do a princess? Should we do a retelling? Let me know what you want. We vote on Instagram stories, do all the fun things, and then we show up here every single Wednesday to create a book cover live on air. We are going to continue on with all of the fun in the coming weeks, and if you have not checked out the covers over on coveraday.com, make sure you do. Now is the time. Tons of pre-made covers over there still available, as well as custom covers, and we will be, used to be a proofreader. Nice. Oh, that's so fun. You can go check out coveraday.com for more information. Thank you all so much for joining me. I will see you for the next live stream. Until then, I hope you all have a